Welcome to this short demonstration of PolyBotConversation. This is an experimental web application that essentially allows you to have group chat conversations with both humans and various different LLM-powered chatbots or agents, and each of these can have individualized personalities. So the idea is that you are in a group chat setting with a number of, LLMs or custom GPTs, if we are in the OpenAI world, so to speak. And these bots can have conversations with you, but also with each other. And that's just an interesting experiment that I wanted to do. And this is the application I built to facilitate that. It's purely experimental. It's not designed for production. And this is just a brief demo of how it works. So far, it is very early. It is extremely buggy, but it allows me and it allows hopefully us to explore some ideas of this group chat scenario with LLM agents, or with LLMs. It's not really agents, with different chatbots, or essentially just prompt-driven, conversation participants. Anyway, so let's start by designing a couple of bots, and then we'll go into a conversation with them. So this is a Django application, and most things are still being done using the admin interface. So here I can create additional bots. There are a couple I've already built, but we are going to do, for this demonstration, 2 new ones. So I'm going to click on Add Bot, and I am going to, this is the interface, and essentially a bot is just a thing that has a name, it has a description, it has a specific model. Right now I'm running this against the OpenAI endpoint. So this can be, for example, GPT-4o, but we could do any other model that's currently available there, or you could just run this against your own self-hosted models. So for this demo, let's do 2 chatbots. One is an AI skeptic and one is an AI proponent, and then we'll have a little conversation with them. Let's do the AI skeptic first. So the name is AI skeptic. I'm going to leave the description empty. And then this is the important bit. This is the prompt. And that's essentially the, part of the system prompt for that specific bot. So this defines essentially their personality. And I'm going to just copy paste a little piece in here that I've, generated beforehand. And this is going to define our AI skeptic. It's essentially you're fiercely distrustful of AI, and so on and so forth. And this is then combined with a system prompt that essentially tells this chatbot that there are other bots in here, that it's meant to drive conversation forward, and so on and so forth. We can also set the temperature. I'm just going to leave it at this default of 0.8. And then there's also this thing called core memories. And these are essentially memories that bots gather from previous conversations, but we'll have a look at this in a second. So essentially we are creating this bot. This is its, so to speak, personality. This is the model it's based on. This is the name. So we're going to save that and then create another one. So the other one's going to be the AI proponent. So that's the one in favor of AI. And of course, this is a very generalized example here. So the AI proponent, it's going to get a similar prompt. Well, it's not similar, it's basically opposite. Both of these prompts have been generated using GPT. We're also going to use GPT-4o. We're going to use the same temperature, and we're going to save that. Okay, so now we have these 2 bots in here, and now we can go back to the application, and we are going to have a new chat. This new conversation only has me in it right now, and I'm going to click on Modify Bots, and then add these 2 bots that we've just created. So the AI skeptic and the AI proponent. And I'm going to update the bots in here. And now they are in this conversation or in this group chat. Now, there are also these triggers, and the triggers define when and how bots respond to messages. Right now, by default, we only have the mention trigger, and that means I can directly add mention bots. And they can also add mention each other. So we can do something like this. Hey, add AI skeptic, please briefly introduce yourself. And then this specific bot will just reply. And here it replies with a little bit about its own ideas. So we can do now the same thing for hey, at AI proponent, please do the same thing. And now they are going to introduce themselves. I'm a passionate advocate for AI, seeing it as the key to unlocking, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is essentially how the ad mentioning works. If I'm ad mentioning them, they can also do that. So if, for example, the AI proponent would ad mention the AI skeptic, then the AI skeptic would reply to that. Now, the other interesting mode or trigger that we can apply is the general trigger. And that essentially means that every minute or so, the bots will first evaluate whether it makes sense for them to reply in that conversation. That's one LLM query or prompt. And then if they decide that it's purposeful for them based on a prompt to reply, they will reply within the conversation. So I'm going to update that trigger, and we can have a look at that. So let's say now we are going to do something like a question. We're going to challenge them. So I'm going to just do, I would like to know what you think about the following statements. AI agents should engage in conversation with humans. And now we will have to wait a couple seconds for the system to reply, or basically to work through these messages. And now we got two answers here. Engaging conversations with AI agents may seem harmless on the surface, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, the AI proponent is arguing in a different direction here. So now we could engage again with them. They might pick up on this and continue their conversation. What we can also do is we can now add another bot in here. So we could add the challenger, and that's one that's always challenging assumptions. And we could just bring the challenger in here and now ask the challenger, what do you think about these arguments? And while I've been doing this, they have been continuing. And here we can see that the AI proponent has mentioned the AI skeptic. And so they have been continuing their conversation. Now here's challenger that I've just mentioned. AI proponent raised a valid concern about the limitations of AI, and so on and so forth. And they are just continuing their conversation here. Now, as you can see, the conversations go pretty wild with this trigger. So I'm just going to delete that for now. And the deletion of this conversation will also trigger a process in which the so-called core memories are going to be established. So we are now back on the home screen, and we can now have a look again in the admin interface in the core memories table here. And we can see that overall 42 core memories here have been established, and these are I-verb statements, ideally at least, that these bots have generated from via an LLM, or via their LLM, generated from the conversation. So for example, there's a core memory for the AI skeptic bot. I emphasize the importance of prioritizing genuine human interaction for meaningful conversations over engaging with AI agents. So that core memory now is in the database for AI skeptic, and it will be used in future conversations as essentially something that this specific chatbot has learned, so to speak. And this will then also influence their quote-unquote personality. Now, as we've seen, some of these messages just got duplicated, and sometimes there were just many messages. And this can be, to a certain degree, mitigated using certain constraints on both the turns that the bots can take and also the messages themselves. So here's a slightly more constrained conversation. It's the same bots, but less messages. So here it's me giving the same prompt, all of the bots respond, then I'm going to do an ad mention, and I'm going to ask specifically AI skeptic what responsible use would look like, and I get that specific one answer. So that's a much more restrained version of that interaction with a lot less duplications and a lot less bots essentially saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that is a key challenge that still has to be solved or addressed if this actually wants to be or should be useful in any kind of way. And this can be addressed by better prompting. This can be addressed by better triggering, and or by putting constraints on the actual conversations. So anyway, this was a brief demonstration of this application and of this general idea, also demonstrating some of the shortcomings and challenges involved with this type of approach.